Welcome back, UPSC aspirants, to your daily dose of current affairs. We're diving deep into the most important topics from March 6, 2025. This is part 1, so stay tuned for more insightful discussions. Don't forget, consistent revision is key for acing those UPSC exams. So some of these topics might sound familiar from previous deep dives. Today, we're tackling a mix of issues that impact India and the world. From the functioning of tribunals and a powerful ocean current that's slowing down to a deep dive into a government scheme for the unorganized sector and the puzzling paradox of rising employment but stagnant wages. And before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with your UPSC journey.
Absolutely. It's going to be an insightful session packed with information relevant for your UPSC preparation.
All right. Let's start with something that might resonate with anyone who's ever dealt with India's bureaucratic maze tribunals. We all know how frustrating delays can be, and these quasi-judicial bodies were set up to streamline justice in specific areas. But are they really living up to their purpose?
Well, the idea behind tribunals is sound resolving disputes in areas like employment, taxation, or environmental issues more efficiently than traditional courts. And for those prepping for UPSC, it's crucial to remember that tribunals have a solid constitutional basis. Articles 323A and 323B, introduced by the 42nd Amendment Act back in 1976.
That's a must-know for the exam. But the Supreme Court recently raised some serious red flags about how these tribunals are functioning.
What's concerning is that the court highlighted the urgent need for tribunals to maintain their independence from the executive branch. If they're seen as influenced by the government, it undermines the entire notion of fair and impartial judgments, right?
Exactly. It erodes public trust in the system. And it's not just about perceived influence. The sheer backlog of cases is a massive roadblock to justice. The Supreme Court pointed that out too.
It's a staggering problem. Think about this. Back in 2021, the central government's industrial tribunals alone had over 7,000 cases pending, and the Armed Forces Tribunal had a backlog of nearly 19,000. Imagine the human impact of those delays. People waiting years for resolutions to disputes that affect their livelihoods and lives.
It's a sobering thought. And on top of that, we have infrastructural limitations in instances where the jurisdiction of tribunals overlaps with regular courts, creating further confusion and delays. It paints a pretty bleak picture, doesn't it?
It certainly highlights the need for urgent reforms. The Supreme Court has suggested some potential solutions, including strengthening judicial independence, perhaps even by establishing a National Tribunals Commission to oversee all tribunals in India. Imagine a dedicated body ensuring consistency, efficiency, and accountability across the board.
That could be a game changer. But it's not just about structural changes. We need practical solutions too.
Absolutely. Timely appointments of qualified personnel and improved staffing conditions are essential. Think about it. Attracting and retaining skilled professionals is crucial for any judicial body to function effectively, let alone one dealing with such complex and specialized cases.
It makes you wonder, how can we expect these tribunals to deliver timely justice if they're constantly understaffed and overwhelmed? This isn't just an abstract legal issue. It has real-world consequences for countless individuals seeking redress.
You're absolutely right. It's a critical issue that deserves much more attention and a concerted effort to find solutions.
Okay, let's shift gears now from legal complexities to the fascinating world of ocean currents. Imagine a colossal underwater conveyor belt circling Antarctica, influencing global climate patterns. That's the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, or ACC.
It's a powerful force of nature driven by winds and the Earth's rotation. It plays a crucial role in regulating global temperatures, acting as a barrier between warmer waters and the icy continent. It also influences the uptake of carbon dioxide by the ocean, essentially acting as a massive carbon sink. But here's where things get alarming. Scientists are observing a worrying trend. The ACC is weakening.
Weakening? What's causing that? Is this another consequence of climate change?
There are two main culprits. First, we have the accelerated melting of ice shelves around Antarctica fueled by rising global temperatures. This influx of fresh water into the ocean alters its salinity, disrupting a crucial process called Antarctic bottom water formation, which is like a deep ocean engine that drives the ACC's circulation.
So melting ice is throwing a wrench into this underwater engine. That sounds pretty serious.
It is. And to make matters worse, shifting wind patterns, also linked to climate change, are further impacting the ACC's strength and flow. Remember, the ACC is primarily wind-driven, so any changes in those prevailing winds can have a significant impact.
This raises a crucial question. What are the potential consequences of a weaker ACC? It's not just about a few degrees of temperature change, right?
You're right to be concerned. The ramifications are far-reaching. A weaker ACC means less heat and carbon dioxide absorption by the ocean, potentially accelerating global warming. It could also lead to increased climate variability, meaning more extreme weather events like intensified droughts and floods in different parts of the world. Imagine the impact on agriculture, infrastructure, and human livelihoods. And let's not forget the delicate Antarctic ecosystem. A weaker ACC could disrupt the entire food web, impacting everything from krill populations, which are vital for marine life, to the iconic penguins and seals that rely on them.
It's a stark reminder that what happens in one part of the world can have ripple effects across the globe.
Speaking of interconnectedness, let's turn our attention to a program designed to support a vast segment of the Indian workforce. The Pradhan, Mantri, Shram, Yogi, Maandhan Yojana, or PM-SYM. It's aimed at those who often lack the security of a formal pension plan, the workers in India's unorganized sector.
It's a crucial initiative targeting a workforce that's often overlooked but forms the backbone of the Indian economy. We're talking about street vendors, construction workers, domestic helpers, agricultural laborers, a massive segment contributing significantly to the nation's GDP.
It's a huge workforce, and their contributions are often undervalued.
I read that over 30 crore workers have registered on the Shram portal, which is a testament to the sheer scale of the unorganized sector.
That's right. And the PM-SYM aims to provide these workers with a sense of financial security by offering a voluntary pension scheme. The idea is to encourage them to contribute a small amount regularly, and after they reach the age of 60, they'll receive a minimum monthly pension of Rs. 3,000.
That could be a lifeline for many who face financial insecurity in their later years. Now, for our UPSC enthusiasts, let's delve into the specifics. Which ministry oversees this scheme?
The PM-SYM is a central sector scheme launched in 2019 by the Ministry of Labor and Employment. The Life Insurance Corporation of India, or LIC, manages the pension fund.
So it's a collaborative effort between the government and a major financial institution.
That makes sense. And what about enrollment? How accessible is it for workers in the unorganized sector?
The process is designed to be relatively straightforward. Workers can enroll through common service centers or the dedicated Maandhan portal. Contributions are made easy through an auto-debit facility linked to their bank accounts.
That's convenient. I also read about a unique feature called the Donate a Pension module. What's that all about?
It's a thoughtful addition to encourage employer contributions. It allows employers, even those in the informal sector, to contribute to their employees' pension funds, fostering a sense of shared responsibility and social security.
It's a great way to incentivize employers to invest in their workforce's well-being. So how's the scheme been faring in terms of implementation?
As of March 2025, the PM-SYM covers 36 states and union territories with enrollments exceeding 46 lakhs. It's a significant step towards a more inclusive social security framework in India, but there's still a long way to go considering the size of the unorganized workforce. It definitely highlights the need for continued efforts to reach out to those who could benefit from this scheme. This brings up an important question for our listeners. What are the challenges in expanding the reach of the PM-SYM, and what innovative strategies could be implemented to ensure that more workers in the unorganized sector have access to this crucial safety net?
That's a critical question and one that policymakers are grappling with. One challenge is awareness. Many workers in the informal sector might not even know about the scheme or understand its benefits. There are also issues of trust and financial literacy, especially among those who are used to dealing with cash transactions and might be hesitant to contribute to a formal pension scheme.
It's a complex issue with multifaceted challenges, and finding effective solutions requires a deeper understanding of the needs and concerns of those working in the unorganized sector.
Absolutely. Addressing those challenges is crucial for ensuring that the PM-SYM truly fulfills its objective of providing a safety net for those who need it most. Now let's delve into an economic paradox that's been making headlines. India is experiencing a rise in employment, but wage growth is lagging behind. Imagine getting a job, but finding your purchasing power shrinking. That's the reality for many in India today.
It's a perplexing situation. How can we have more jobs but not see a corresponding increase in wages? What does the data tell us?
The Periodic Labor Force Survey, or PLFS, for 2023-24 reveals a mixed bag. While the worker population ratio has increased, indicating job creation, the growth in real wages, especially for regular salaried workers, has been stagnant, particularly at entry-level positions. This means their income isn't keeping pace with inflation, effectively eroding their purchasing power.
So more people are employed, but their earnings aren't translating into a better standard of living. That seems counterintuitive. What's driving this disparity?
The Economic Survey for 2024-25 offers some insights. Corporate profitability has surged to a 15-year high, with profits climbing by over 22%, while employment grew by a mere 1.5%. This raises concerns about the distribution of economic gains. Are companies reaping the rewards while workers are left behind?
It sounds like we're seeing a disconnect between corporate success and worker well-being. And this brings us to a key financial concept, EBITDA margin. What does this metric tell us about the situation?
EBITDA margin is a measure of a company's profitability, and what's striking is that Indian companies have maintained a stable EBITDA margin of around 22% for the past 4 years. This suggests that while their profits have been robust, they haven't felt the need to share those gains with their workforce through significant wage increases.
So companies are doing well, but those profits aren't trickling down to the workers. It raises concerns about economic inequality and social stability. What are the potential consequences of this wage stagnation, especially in the long term?
The ramifications could be significant. Stagnant wages can dampen consumer demand, potentially hindering economic growth. It can also fuel social unrest and exacerbate income inequality, leading to a widening gap between the haves and the have-nots.
It's a complex issue with potentially far-reaching consequences. So for our listeners, I think this raises a crucial question. What policy interventions could address this wage stagnation and promote a more equitable distribution of economic gains? Think about it. Is it about strengthening labor unions, introducing minimum wage laws, or promoting skills development to enhance worker productivity and bargaining power? These are the kinds of issues that policymakers need to grapple with to ensure sustainable and inclusive economic growth.
You've hit the nail on the head. Finding the right balance between supporting businesses and protecting workers' rights is crucial for long-term economic prosperity and social stability.
Now let's shift our focus to a sector that's crucial for India's future. Research and development, or R&D. India has made significant strides in this area, with spending on R&D doubling in the last decade. That's a huge leap forward.
It's a testament to India's growing aspirations to become a global innovation hub. R&D is all about pushing the boundaries of knowledge, creating new technologies and solutions, and fostering a culture of innovation. In India, we track this investment through gross expenditure on R&D, or GERD, and it's been steadily climbing in recent years.
That doubling of investment is impressive, but where is this funding primarily coming from? Is it a collaborative effort between the government and the private sector?
The government sector plays a dominant role in India's R&D landscape. The central government contributes the lion's share, followed by state governments, higher education institutions, and public sector industries.
So it's primarily a government-driven effort. Are there any other positive trends emerging in India's R&D ecosystem?
Absolutely. One encouraging development is the increasing participation of women in R&D projects. It's jumped from a mere 13% in 2001 to a significant 25% in 2019-20. This highlights the growing recognition of the importance of gender diversity in scientific endeavors.
That's fantastic news. More diverse perspectives and talent can only enrich the R&D landscape. And how does India fare on the global stage when it comes to innovation? Are we making our mark?
India has made impressive strides in recent years, climbing to the 39th position in the Global Innovation Index 2024 and securing the 6th spot in global intellectual property filings, according to the World Intellectual Property Organization. These rankings underscore India's growing prominence as a hub for innovation and technological advancement.
That's definitely something to celebrate, but I'm sure there are still challenges on this journey to becoming a global R&D powerhouse. What are some of the key hurdles holding India back?
Despite the progress, India's GERD as a percentage of GDP remains relatively low compared to developed nations. We're talking about 0.64% in 2020-21, while many advanced economies invest over 2% of their GDP in R&D. One major challenge is the relatively low contribution from the private sector. While businesses are increasingly recognizing the value of R&D, their participation still lags behind that of the government. We also face issues like brain drain, talented researchers seeking better opportunities abroad, and a somewhat weak link between industry and academia.
It sounds like a multifaceted challenge. So for our listeners, consider this. What steps can India take to bridge this gap and truly become a global leader in R&D? Think about the role of government policies, private sector investment, and fostering a culture of innovation within educational institutions. These are the key ingredients for transforming India into an R&D powerhouse.
You're right. Addressing those challenges is essential for unlocking India's full potential in the realm of research and development.
Okay, before we move on to our rapid-fire round, let's unpack another crucial term that's been making headlines in the financial world: a line of credit, or LOC. The RBI has recently directed large non-banking financial companies, or NBFCs, to halt new lines of credit and renewals. So what exactly is an ULSC, and why is the RBI taking this step?
A line of credit is a flexible borrowing arrangement, much like a credit card for businesses, particularly self-employed individuals and small enterprises. It provides access to a pre-approved amount of funds that they can draw upon as needed. They only pay interest on the amount they actually use and can even deposit surplus funds back into the account to reduce their interest burden.
It sounds like a convenient tool for businesses that need flexible financing. So why is the RBI tightening the reins on LOCs for large NBFCs? Is it about managing risk?
You hit the nail on the head. The RBI is concerned about the potential for misuse of LOCs, especially by large NBFCs, which could pose systemic risks to the financial system. Uncontrolled lending through LOCs could lead to instability and even financial crises. So by tightening regulations, they're aiming to prevent any potential domino effect that could destabilize the entire financial sector.
It's a reminder that even seemingly technical financial instruments can have far-reaching consequences for the economy. Okay, let's dive into our rapid-fire round now, where we'll unpack a bunch of interesting terms and concepts that you should be aware of for your UPSC preparations. First up, we have a fascinating creature from the underwater world, the anemone fish.
These colorful little fish are famous for their unique symbiotic relationship with anemones, those stinging polyps related to corals and jellyfish. Anemone fish find refuge among the anemone's tentacles, which protect them from predators.
But it's not just a one-sided relationship, right? Don't the anemone fish also provide something in return? It's all about mutual benefit, isn't it?
Exactly. They help keep the anemone clean and free of parasites and might even lure food towards their host. What's fascinating is that a recent study has revealed that anemone fish actively contribute to their host's diet by bringing them food. Talk about teamwork.
Nature is full of such incredible partnerships. Okay, next up, we have a term that might sound a bit intimidating. Bose metal. What in the world is that?
Don't worry, it's not as complex as it sounds. It's a fascinating state of matter that falls somewhere between a superconductor, where electricity flows with zero resistance, and an insulator, which blocks the flow of electricity. Think of it like a dimmer switch that can fine-tune the electrical conductivity of a material.
So it's like a material with adjustable electrical properties. That's pretty cool.
It is. Scientists have recently found strong evidence of a Bose metal in a material called niobium diselenide. It's a groundbreaking discovery that's opening up new possibilities for developing innovative electronic devices.
It's amazing how scientific advancements keep pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible. Now let's move on to a concept that's crucial for understanding the diversity of life on our planet. The Wallace Line. Imagine an invisible line drawn through Southeast Asia, separating distinct species of animals and plants. That's the Wallace Line, named after the naturalist Alfred Russel Wallace, who first observed this stark difference in species distribution back in the 19th century.
It's a fascinating example of how geological history has shaped the distribution of life on Earth. On one side of the line, you have Asian fauna like tigers, elephants, and orangutans, while on the other side you have Australian fauna like kangaroos, koalas, and cassowaries. It's like two different worlds meeting.
It makes you wonder how such a distinct boundary came to be. What caused this separation?
The answer lies in plate tectonics, the movement of Earth's massive crustal plates over millions of years. The collision and interaction between the Australian and Asian plates created a series of volcanic islands like Bali and Lombok, which acted as stepping stones for species to migrate. However, these islands also served as barriers, isolating different groups of animals and plants, allowing them to evolve independently on either side of the line.
It's a reminder that the Earth is a dynamic, ever-changing system, and those changes have shaped the incredible biodiversity we see today. Okay, now let's talk about a crucial resource that's in high demand: copper. India, with its booming economy and infrastructure development, is facing a surge in demand for this versatile metal.
Copper is essential for everything from electrical wiring and plumbing to construction materials and emerging technologies. The challenge is that domestic production is struggling to keep up with this growing demand.
So where is India turning to secure its copper supply?
India has been actively seeking overseas sources of copper and recently secured a massive 9,000 square kilometer block in Zambia for copper exploration. This highlights the growing global competition for securing access to this vital resource, and it underscores the importance of strategic partnerships and international collaboration.
It's a reminder that in today's interconnected world, securing access to critical resources is a matter of national interest. Now let's shift our focus to Europe, where Austria has a new chancellor, Christian Stocker. For our UPSC aspirants, let's quickly recap some key points about Austria.
Austria is a landlocked country in Central Europe known for its stunning alpine scenery, its rich cultural heritage, particularly its classical music tradition, and its capital city, Vienna. Vienna serves as a global hub hosting numerous international organizations like the United Nations and OPEC. It's a country that often finds itself at the heart of international diplomacy and global affairs. Austria is a member of the European Union, but interestingly, it has chosen to remain neutral and is not a member of NATO.
It's a country with a unique position in the world. Now let's zoom in on a topic that's particularly relevant in the context of public health influenza vaccines. The World Health Organization has just issued its recommendations for the upcoming flu season in the Northern Hemisphere, advising the use of trivalent influenza vaccines. Let's break down the different types of flu vaccines available and why there's a shift towards newer technologies.
Traditionally, most flu vaccines have been produced using a method that's been around for decades, growing the virus in fertilized chicken eggs. These are known as egg-based vaccines. However, there's a new generation of vaccines emerging that utilize different technologies.